Hello YouTube, it's your girl, P+7, the purple butterfly people.blogspot.com and people elsewhere on the internet. There comes a time when you're knitting with especially fine yarns like this, where the skin starts looking a little funky. The tube that was around it, literally, when it got thin like this, it knitted right on out of it. And then you go to pull the yarn and it wants to tangle. Well, I'm going to show you what to do with that. You could either take a tube and stick it in there so that way it maintains its integrity, or you could do like I'm doing and just start unraveling it. The reason, see what I mean? I'm doing that because it's going to keep falling apart like that while I'm knitting. So we don't want that. So you want to make sure you have an area of about 3 feet, so that way you can literally de-skin the yarn, loosening up any knots or bunches that might want to happen. Because now I am going to take and ball this yarn. And when you're working from the center of the skin the way I do, as you can tell, it makes your knitting smooth. But when you get towards the end, that happens. And while you're working, especially on a special project like the one I'm working on, you don't want to end up with knots. Now, I am an experienced knitter of about 33 years, actually. And most knitters that have my level of experience, when they run across a knot, they have no problem taking some scissors, snip, you know, do a cross-transfer, reconnect, and continue on knitting. But since I'm making this particular item for a baby, I do not want a knot or a transfer type reconnect in the middle of my work. So I'm just going to deball the yarn. And hold on. There we go. And the reason why I said 3 feet, if you notice I'm going like this, dropping, and then going like this. That makes a pile of yarn on my left that will be real easy to rewind into a ball. Well, at the end. Now, I'm going to take a piece of paper and maybe some scissors. I'm going to just snip that at an angle. See? It's just an angle cut. I'll put a knot at the end of this yarn, because this is a pompadour type yarn, and it will unravel at the end. See that? But there's a knot right there now, so it can't unravel any further than that. And for my purposes with this little piece of paper, that knot will stop it right where I need it to, okay? So now we have a piece of paper. I'm going to fold it this way, and then fold it this way, and then that completely seals that last end of my yarn. Now I'm going to fold that in half. I know that looks strange, right? But that gives me a basis to start making a ball. And then while I'm knitting, the moment I come across that piece of paper, I know it's time to prep the other ball of yarn, or the other skin rather, which looks like this. And of course the yarn comes out the center. I might, before I even start, go ahead and put that in a ball, because that way I won't have to worry about having to redo this step when I get to the other end of that skin. It kind of depends on my mood. I sometimes could get through a whole skin without having to go through the trouble of making a ball, and depending on the machine that wound it or whatever, like this one was wound kind of loose on the outside, but tighter on the inside, so then when you pull from the skin and it starts collapsing inward, you get those clump knots that, you know, you just seen me work through. And that's my way of getting rid of the problem before it becomes a problem. Because if I had, let me show you my work. Get the yarn from being tangled on it. See how much I got so far? And if I had waited till it got to, you know, a longer length, now I'm working with something that has to be propped while I'm working on it because of the sheer length of it, and then yarn that wants to fight me, that makes for an unpleasant knitting experience. We don't like unpleasant knitting experiences. That discourages you from continuing on. So to keep my knitting experience pleasant, I just keep my stuff like this. And then I have a standard plastic bag. I'm going to show you how to make a ball winder with that on, well, this video or the next. I'm thinking it's going to be the next because I'm already at 5 minutes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ball once it's done, put it in the bag, tie a knot in the bag, and then it's just like a yarn bowl. The yarn that winds around the bowl while you're knitting, except for it being in a bag, that makes it more portable. So that way, if I choose to take the knitting and the yarn somewhere with me, the knotted bag where the yarn just coming out the little hole can go right into the project bag with the project itself as a separate entity. It becomes the ball because the yarn is encased with what's inside it. I'm going to show you a neat little trick for winding a ball here. You're going to put your thumb, you know, like you're holding a baseball, but for those that don't know how to hold a baseball, thumb here, middle finger there. And you start winding, well, I lost my place there, in either direction. And when the thumb starts to fill up, you turn it just a little. So then, when that starts to fill up, and you'll know because your thumbnail will actually get covered up, and then you just keep turning. When you get a fun little circle in the center, that looks like that, see that? Then you put your thumb somewhere else and go that direction. That way when you start using the yarn, it gives it a flow. It doesn't find a place to tangle and all that good stuff there. So that's what I'm doing today. Happy Thanksgiving, y'all. After I'm done with this ball, I'm going to go clean up my mom's car. Then we're going to drive someplace to have Thanksgiving dinner because cooking Thanksgiving dinner and all that has been canceled because of recent events, and no one's in their right frame of mind to stand in front of a stove for hours and so forth and so on when we're only holding it together minute by minute by minute. So this is going to be finished in a second. Oh, by the way, for those who know, yes, the curl formers are under there. I am not taking these out. I am just going to put a scarf on top of it. No one's going to know. And when it's time to take my hair down, the set will be set. As in, it ain't going nowhere. Because I'm not taking these down till, I'm thinking Saturday morning. I'm off duty until Wednesday. The funeral is on Saturday. So I could keep it covered and all that good stuff until it's time to get ready for the funeral. Because under this scarf, if I put, well, a bonnet rather, if I put a scarf on top of it or a galette, no one's going to know they're under there. On my blog, it actually has a post about curl formers hiding under a scarf. I wore it to work that way a couple of times just to see if it would work. People simply thought I put my hair in a ponytail and put a scarf on top of it. And that's a good thing because they let me know that that was a styling option for when the hair was not completely dry. Oh, well, I have a loop. You want to make sure you don't have loops in the work. Okay. And that wouldn't have been a loop if it hadn't got caught on my one fingernail. And now I am right back where I started when I de-skinned the yarn. Ta-da! So, I'm ready to go. Now, since I still have time, I am going to show you how to make a ball bag. You take your standard shopping bag, open it up. You're going to put your ball in it. Then you're going to get the top. This is a t-shirt bag, by the way. This one's from Kroger. I wouldn't even told you that, except for the name Kroger just flashed across my camera. And you're going to make a bow-type knot. You don't want to make a knot because if there's a problem, then you are going to have to cut that opening. You're not going to want to have to do that and then get a whole new bag. So now the ball is in there, and the yarn can pull from there. And while it's in the bag, because plastic is a slippery surface, when you're pulling the yarn, you can actually, if you put your hand here, you can actually feel the ball moving inside there. So it lets you work nice and neat. And then say for us it's time to take this project somewhere, all I got to do is anchor my needle, wind my project up, put this and this as the ball into my project bag, and I'm good to go. So hopefully that was a helpful hint for you. This is P+7 on Twitter and YouTube, People elsewhere on the internet, and purplebutterfly-people.blogspot.com. Y'all stay blessed.